making any sense.
Now, all politicians, even we never show us this money.
Good governance.
But you don't have good jobs. How can you? Your views, your thoughts, your perspective. This is People's Forum.
Thank you for staying here on 92.5 in Nugu's Dream FM. It's good to have you on today's edition of People's Forum. Well, today is the 12th of August, 2020. Time in the studio is 5:05 p.m. My name is Izzy Naningwe alongside my production crew led by Oke Odogu. And I know for those of you who have joined us on the social media platforms, the TriCast, Facebook live stream, 925 Dream FM. Welcome. Twitter handle at Dream925FM and on YouTube, Dream TV and Nugu. I welcome you all to this episode of People's Forum. Do you remember the second stanza of the national anthem? Yes, I'm asking you. So let's go through it. O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youths the truth to know. Okay, let's stop there because I know some of you are chewing your mouth now. But today's International Youth Day. That's why I had to stop there. And our focus today is on that. The theme for this year's celebration is about engaging the youth for global action. So we're going to be answering the question, how do we engage the youth? Before we get into that discussion, looking here in the studio, I have beautiful ladies and a gentleman in our midst. I like this particular episode of People's Forum. You know, the ladies outnumber the, the man. Okay, that's not to say that you're not a special one in our midst. Well, I have here with me in the studio Chidima Ibemere. Ibemere. Yes, I got that. Why did you call her Ibemere earlier? CEO. You were trying to confuse my intelligence. Okay. Chidima Ibemere, Gender Equality Advocate, Project Officer, Wadi Ben
Hiriki.
You know, I was asking you that thing before. Hiriki Foundation, Wadi Ben Hiriki Foundation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Chukuma Ifremokenwa, Executive Director, Lead Network, CEO. Thank you for making a comeback.
Yeah, pleasure here.
Okay. Now, a special guest we have in the house. She has a beautiful message for the Nigerian youth as we commemorate International Youth Day today. She's a songstress. Her name is Onyedikachi Ewe, also known as Kachi, a talented singer-songwriter with a passion to reach the world with beautifully crafted songs such as the one I'll play for you later. But let's meet her first. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
So what's that important message you have for the youth?
I like your introduction when you started with the second stanza of the national anthem. You know, it brings us back to the fact that the youth is really the backbone of the country, with all the energy, the innovation, the innovative abilities, the creative ability, the ambition. A Nigerian youth is a naturally ambitious individual, and we are very talented. So when you bring together these qualities, we can really make a change. But here we see misplaced priorities at times. The youth want it now, anyhow, even when it's not right. They just want the result now. And you begin to see people more interested in results regardless of the process, whether it's right or wrong. Let's just make it.
Who should we hold responsible for that?
The individual.
Okay.
I know
usually we hear
government.
I know
the environment, contributes to different the social environment, the physical environment, and all of that could contribute, but every individual is accountable and responsible for any action they take. So we want to see a picture of a youth, the young people who are now making right decisions, who are choosing correct role models, that they will begin to toe the line of enduring process, because process will help you build character, will help you build skill, will give you strength. You build strength over the years of doing something, doing it over and over again, and learning. Because the truth is, you never lose. You either win or learn. And people don't want to go through that whole hurdle. They just want to, wake up tomorrow and, in our words,
and hammer.
Blow, hammer. Okay. So the message for me is we should take it one day at a time. Take it slow. We'll get there, because you have a long life ahead of you to sow today and reap tomorrow. Why not sow the right seed so you can enjoy a very satisfying, peaceful harvest with a good name intact? And there's this saying that the difference between here and there is letter T. That T representing time. So if you give it time, you're here today, you're going to be there. That's your beautiful there that you picture, but just do it right. Take the right steps, do it legitimately.
I believe that's the story of the message, the song that you have for us this evening. Yes. So when did you release it?
It was released last year, October, and because I have a passion for the youth population, I decided to key into today's global activity to also reinforce this message. There's a line in the song that says, "Pay now, play later. Play now, pay later." So it's your choice. Why not make the right choice? Yeah.
Okay. So who produced the song? You want to talk about the song more?
Okay, it was produced by Tehila Records. It's a brand in Lagos, and Jesse was the key person. His name is Jesse Keats Beats is the one who produced the song, and it was released October 2nd, 2019.
How long have you been in the music industry? Because I know you also
Actually,
have passion,
the
or
message
you have interest in the developmental sector, health,
yes.
The
empowerment
of youth and children and women.
Yeah, thank you. The message is my first released song.
Okay.
Yes.
Before, it came before
Mighty God.
Mighty God.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. So 2 projects now. Are you hoping to continue?
Definitely.
Or are we expecting an album much later?
Definitely. There's going to be more songs, and then an album, and more albums following that. So please, you'll be expecting more. You'll hear more from Kachi.
Okay. So how do we hook up with you on the social media platforms?
My social media handle on Instagram is Kachi Global. On Facebook is Kachi Songs. So with that, you'll find links where you can download the song and even view it on YouTube.
How do you spell your Kachi?
Katchy.
Oh, that's a special way of spelling Kachi.
Katchy. Yeah.
All right.
But Kachi Global is Kachi Global. Kachi Songs is Katchy Songs. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on People's Forum today.
Thank you
Before
so much
I let
for
you
having
go,
me.
a quick question, because that's the big question for this evening. How do we engage the youth productively?
Yes, our society has to begin to become very intentional in involving the youth in decision-making process, especially at the local level, at the national level, and also at the global level. I know there are structures on ground and there are steps in place, but it has to be more deliberate. It has to be more intentional, because the youth as it is now does not yet have that feeling that they are included in whatever decision process is going on. And that is partly because there's this perceived lack of preparedness, so to say. Because I remember last year, we just had our elections last year. There was this campaign, Not Too Young to Run. And along the line, we start seeing things online like, not too young to run away from the country. And you're like, a youth is making humor out of all of this.
We play too much sometimes. And you said if you play today, you pay tomorrow.
We need to show ourselves as ready. The rest of the people occupying the positions that we, the young ones, want to step into, need to perceive us and see us as ready to take up those responsibilities. And also, when they see that responsibility, that accountability in the young population, they will begin to include the young ones for decision making, key decision making in the nation. Yeah.
Okay.
and leadership.
Very well. Then I know you want to give a shout out to someone that came to the studio with you this evening. For some reason, I believe he must have contributed to the success of this
Definitely,
project.
he's my
Okay.
number one fan. Right?
Talk about him. Go
My
ahead.
ride or die.
Okay.
He's the one who listens to the song at the infant stage and says, this is good. And once I hear this is good from him, I run to the studio to record it.
Okay.
He's my husband. Thank you very much.
He has a name.
Emeka, Nemeka, Ewe, yeah.
All right. So thank you for coming. Let me
Thank you
quickly
so much.
let the
Thank you.
message out to the youth for them to enjoy. When we come back, we're going to answer that big question. How do we engage the youth productively? Remember, the theme for this year's celebration of International Youth Day is youth engagement for global action. So you move from the local level. You remember the song Lo 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 Local Rapper, and move from that local level to the national level, and then we go global. Stay here. The message by Kachi.
I've got a message for you, I'll share it with you. I've got a message, yeah. This is my message to you, I'll share it with you. This is my message, yeah. You're living life, you're feeling high. Take it slow, you say don't say that. You want it now, just anyhow. And though it's foul, you say give me that. If you had another life, what will you do? If you knew your longer life, tell me, what will you choose? But you say, who says that? We have a long life, we have a long life ahead of us. We're living a young life, don't choose the wrong life. Tomorrow is what you make of today. This is my message, yeah. You're living life, you're feeling high. Take it slow, you say don't say that. Don't say that. You want it now, just anyhow. And though it's foul, you say give me that. If you had another life, what will you do? If you knew your longer life, tell me, what will you choose? But you say, who says that? Pay now, play later. Tomorrow is what you make of today. I say, play now, pay now. Tomorrow is what you make of today. Long life, we have a long life ahead of us. Today is the city of your life. Don't choose the wrong life. We have a long life ahead of us. Don't live your life anyhow. This is my message. This is my message. We have a long life. We have a long life ahead of us. We're living a young life. Don't choose the wrong life. We have a long life ahead of us. We have a long life. We are young. Life is long. Life is young. This is my message. This is my message. This is my message. This is my message.
What is it it with our politicians today. Nobody is making any sense.
Now, only politicians, even we never show up this morning.
N'ihe anyị na-ekwu na ọ na-afịa ya ili ndị ugboro na-abụ n'ụbọchị onye na-elele onye na-asị good governance.
But you don't have good jobs. How can you?
Your views, your thoughts, your perspective. This is People's Forum. Thank you for staying on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. It's People's Forum. Time in the studio is 5:19 p.m. You heard the song The Message. Well, the message brought to you by the songstress Kachi. She's not with us for now. So let's pay attention to that message for today. Today is International Youth Day, and it all began in 1991 when youngsters from Vienna and Austria suggested the commemoration for the first conference of the United Nations World Youth Council. Now bring it down to 1999. United Nations General Assembly first designated 12th of August as International Youth Day, and the first time it was marked was in 2000. Yes, so it's an opportunity to talk about the challenges that it's facing the youths, or that is not allowing them to be the best that they should be. We say that the youths are the backbone of the society, and every year there is a theme to commemorate International Youth Day. This theme for this 2020 is youth engagement for global action. So let's get straight to it. Chukwuma Ifemokenwa is here, Executive Director, Lead Network. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
All right. Chidima Ibemere, Gender Equality Advocate, a Project Officer, Wadiben Foundation. Thank you for staying. Okay, let me begin with you, Chukwuma Ifemokenwa. I saw the conversation you were having with someone yesterday, and the person asked, are you a youth? And you said, I could be a youth at heart. So let's first understand who a youth is. Usually, before 2019, it was someone or people between the ages of 18 and 35. Okay, so who is a youth?
Okay, like particularly with the review on the national youth policy at the moment, anybody that is not up to 30, but shortly before now, it was like up to 35, you understand? But then, basically, realistically speaking, like in Nigeria on regards, or sometimes we try to like look at maybe other nations, what they are doing, like review, not really looking at the reality on ground. Because practically, if you want to look at it, you talk about the intermediary phase between childhood and the adulthood. So when you have like people being treated as children, even like someone is in the university, they are treated as children, like socially is accepted, someone is 18. So sometimes like now when you say like you see some movies, they say for people that are 18, can the 18 years that are here in Nigeria, do they really have the capacity to interpret that, understand that, and decide what is right for them? Because sometimes what people out there achieve at 18, people here can maybe get to like 30 to begin to reason in that particular capacity. And what do I mean? If you ask a young man here to get married at 18, I'm just trying to imagine like the kind of marriage the person is going to build. You understand? But then it's very common in advanced nation, because don't forget, before you talk about engaging your young people, you talk about first making them responsible. Okay. I love the fact that when people are employed and then, or maybe when they ask you what's your job description in a place, there's one particular phrase I've seen like with some people, and I so much appreciate it. When someone is writing the CV and writes, I am held responsible for this. These are my duties. These are these. So if young persons can also get to that point of being responsible, being held responsible on key issues, then when you engage them, they could actually make a difference.
Responsibility, that's engagement. That's what you said. So Chidima, what are your thoughts?
So I feel, like you said, there are different contexts when it has to do with the explanation of who a youth is. So some people would say anyone between 15 and 24. Another set would say, like Nigeria recently changed it to 18 to 29. But however, it is one striking fact is that the youths are the backbone or the lifeblood of any society, of any organization. So whichever age group any any context decides to project. What's important is they have the population, they have the resilience, and the future lies with them. So that is what I feel, or that is my own explanation of who a youth is. Anyone who has a whole lot of years ahead of them and who is working towards bringing to reality everything that's been scheduled to hold for the future. As we are all working towards sustainable development now, it's not our grandfathers, it's not our fathers who are 50 or 60. They may not understand it, but it is left to us to work towards achieving the SDGs to make sure that the world becomes a better place for everyone.
Okay, CEO. Well, one of the things you already said about engaging the youth is the fact that one, you have to be responsible. It's just like you sounded what Kachi said earlier. That choice, you have to take responsibility for yourself. What other ways can the youth be properly engaged or productively engaged? Because I still remember the comment made by a former petroleum minister just recently, as if the youth are now looking up to those who don't pay attention to process. They are more interested in the end game.
Yes.
They want to hammer, make money at all costs.
Yeah, first, let me appreciate the fact that a youth is basically like the next phase, or youthfulness is the next phase after childhood, like I earlier identified. Fortified foundation leads to dysfunctional youths in the society. So let's say like someone like, because it's like more or less like age, it's just like the young man I was arguing with, you understand? And I couldn't just say, okay, I'm a youth, like plainly, because this year I clocked at 6.
Okay.
And by the initial national youth policy, you understand, by 35 you are done. So I wouldn't just want to, but I just like discovered, like, I felt it was unfair pushing me out.
I mean, it's
that
just
I'm no longer a youth, you understand?
A year out of the game.
Yes. But guess what? You understand? I think where we've actually missed it, we think that where the problem is actually in that intermediary phase. We leave the foundation, and that is the childhood phase. We have like lots of people from dysfunctional homes, right? They don't have access to the right values. They are abused as kids. They suffer emotionally, and they grow with some of these traumas. There is no way you will expect them to grow up as better adults. You understand? So you see them struggling as young people. Struggling at that same young person's, you could just see like their youthful phase away, phase out, without actually becoming very relevant. So you can see somebody that is maybe even sometimes you can see a man of 40 years, you understand, and he's just like comfortable, like he can't just think it's one single thought for himself. He will always need like somebody to tell him what to do, because from childhood he's not been taught like how to think for himself independently. To move from that phase of childhood, which you are so much dependent on your parent, and then you are expected to achieve self-reliance. But when there is no deliberate strategy to ensure that you are moving them, can I tell you that sometimes you could have like a parent, even sometimes both parents follow their child looking for job to come and beg for job in offices. It does happen. So what kind of adult is that? It means that they don't have that confidence in the child, and then when the child is not responsible, when he believes that, well, I can't do this for myself, then certainly you can't expect the person to make a better youth. So the first place to fix would be that of childhood phase. If we didn't get it right, don't blame anybody for being irresponsible as a youth. You are not born as a youth in this world. You are born basically as a child, and according to psychologists, the foundation of everyone's thought is formed at 16. So if you lose a child, if you lose like all of the basic foundation, just like scientists tell us that even in the brain development of a child, first 5 years, first 16 years, thought phase is established. If you miss all of these opportunities, I fear the kind of youth that person will likely be. And then in that particular case, the corrective measures, right, become more engaging process than even the definitive process which would have leveraged on right from the crochet.
Now, for those who missed out on that, those formative years, what becomes of them, Chidimma?
Like he rightly said, it has a negative effect on the society, no matter how you look at it. But for me, one of the most important ways to engage youth, I think it's through education. In Nigeria, we have a problem with our educational system, and that has really damaged a whole lot of potentials. So you see a situation where people are no longer interested in reading to acquire the right knowledge. They just want to go through school. If there is a way to skip school for 6 years, trust me, children will do that because they're like, at the end of the day, Expo will definitely learn. But if we have an educational system that is holistic, giving children access to different forms of ideas, not necessarily like, our problem here is we focus more on the curriculum and formal education, go to school and come out. Nobody is interested in entrepreneurship, which is also an important aspect of education. Our government is not giving opportunities for everyone to thrive. Everybody's just doing anyhow. And
is it that the government is not giving opportunities, or they're not giving enough?
Enough opportunities.
Okay.
Like, I mean, look at our population. I think it was last year, they said there are about 30 million graduates have already been produced. So where are the jobs for them? Even if the white collar jobs are not available, what about entrepreneurship sessions? In our secondary schools, these things are not in the right places, and it would definitely affect us. So a country without a sound educational sector cannot move forward. There are no is it magic now or miracles to it? We have to fix our education for things to work, and it is this education that will project our youths on the global stage. So in as much as yes, skill is very important, but if a child is not enlightened, he's not exposed, you can't compete favorably with people in other parts of the world.
And we're talking about engagement for global action.
Global action.
All right, you're listening to People's Forum on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. Today's International Youth Day, so we are asking the question, how do we engage the youth productively so that they can, compete globally as well? Because the theme for this year's celebration is engagement for global action. Before we take your calls, 0809 8888 or 0902 0020 I'd like to also find out from CEO. Now that Chidima has mentioned entrepreneurship, according to the World Bank, it estimated that around 600 million jobs would have to be created in the next 15 years to meet the employment needs of the youth globally. And we also had such a projection for Nigeria. That considering what the pandemic has done, it just knocked off a lot of plans and knocked a lot of people off their jobs, and the youths were not excluded, or are not excluded. Some people are still losing their jobs as we speak. So what can be done differently to engage the youth?
I think it's very important. First, let me identify that up to 42% lost their job due to the pandemic in Nigeria, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. That's quite massive. And over the time also, we've seen it's the culture of politicians to make promises of creating millions of jobs and all the rest. But then, world over, it's just the responsibility of the government to create an enabling environment by enhancing access to finance, ensuring, just like we have in other nations, a single-digit interest loan, you understand? But in Nigeria, it's more of double digits, and at the third level, maybe where, as a startup, you understand, if you go to like maybe the usual financial banks and you are told like to access funds between the range of 24 to 27% for like someone that is trying to start or to upscale. Of course, if you don't get that opportunity to upscale, how do you employ others? So the first strategy will be, how can government upscale like the enterprises that are already there, like some of the intervention funds, like honestly, the ones that government has done, like I'm privy like to some of it, like
what about the 50 billion naira
my dear,
intervention
when
fund?
when the NISA came, you understand, just like what happened there with you win, many people turned farmers. You understand? Claiming I'm into this, I'm into that. I mean, it's really very funny because government don't do due diligence in giving out this money. In the time of you win, also like giving out funds and all the rest without appropriate mentorship, where people were given the first 7 million and then show what you've been able to do with it and you get the last 3 million. My dear, some people got the first 7, even though it's meant to be a grant, but could not be able to get the last one and had nothing to show for it. Some persons that got that money now, if you ask them to show an evidence of 10,000 that they worth with 10,000 or their business, they are not able to do that because funds is no replacement to viable education and capacity building. But one of the things where we are really getting it very wrong, when you talk about in terms of development, I was a project copper during my NYSC years. Funny enough, I worked in the aspect of human capacity building, right, and development. Now, in judging the project, they now categorize it into tangible projects. Maybe those that dug well Our own is intangible.
Okay.
And intangible was underestimated. But then when you look at the basis for development, you understand, when you look at human development index, you look at things like life expectancy, which has to do with health. You talk about education, knowledgeability, capacity building, but we are not focusing on this area. And even though when we talk about like the sustainable development goals for which Nigeria is privy to, our eyes is only on maybe Goal 9, infrastructure, industry, and all the rest. But beyond that, you still have things like no poverty, right? Zero hunger. And that's why I believe that even stomach infrastructure is part of development, is right there. So anybody that is thinking of what will I actually do to have a holistic approach, study all the goals. These are goals on development, and if you can achieve all of it, you are truly impacting on your people.
All right, let's open the conversation now to bring in our listeners on the Facebook page 925 Dream FM, Twitter handle at Dream 925 FM. The WhatsApp line is open as well, 0902 0020925. You can call us on 0809 8888925. How do we engage the youth productively? Bearing in mind the theme for this year's celebration of International Youth Day, engaging the youth for global action. Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us. What's your name, sir?
My name is Adja Donatus.
Mr. Donatus, go ahead.
All right.